Hello everyone, I'm Mark Zane and welcome to Zane Investment Solutions. Please take a moment to pause this video and review the following disclaimer. Thank you for that. Welcome to week 11 of the Forex market review. Today we're going to look at a few pairs which triggered last week, all of them successful if you had the right stop losses. Personally for myself, only 3 out of the trades would have worked for me, but let's go ahead and look at those trades and any trades coming up for this week or next week. So the first trade we're going to look at is the USO USD. This was the oil trade which we were looking at taking a short position on it. So what we can see, it was starting to step up into this weekly 200 EMA line, and it was a possibility that it could push lower or maybe push higher, and it did push in our favor, which was pushing lower. On the daily time frame, what we're looking for is some resistance, and we saw all this DSR zone being tested on several occasions, and it was traveling in this band sideways for a very long time. So we're trying to look at taking a trade somewhere up at these levels here, down to these levels, with a possibility of it pushing down to this daily 200 EMA line, which it has. On the 4-hour chart, what we wanted to see is some AO divergence. So we want to see some higher high in price with lower AO. So what we did have was our higher high in price back here and the AO stepping down over here. So that met our criteria ready for an entry. Then it just started to step sideways for a while, and we wanted to look at to retest, bounce off this 4-hour 200 EMA line. So we see it push down, push back up, and we're starting to look for an entry round about this area here. We then drop down to our 1-hour chart, and what we would look for is our large AO. So here we saw our large AO. So from the start of this wave 3 AO all the way to the end is roughly what wave 3 would be. So 1 up for 2, down for 3, up for 4, and down for 5. So it started to make its move down lower. But what we were looking for prior to that was this move here. So before this AO actually confirmed for wave 3, we would have seen something along the lines around about here. So we would have looked at this and gone A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, with this being the first largest AO identified. Looking for that pullback to the minimum of 38.2, but hopefully touching the 1-hour 200 EMA line, which it did, had this nice pullback on this candle here. Looking for an entry, probably stops somewhere around 50-60 pips, and looking at taking break even down to these levels and pushing down for 1 to 2 down to these levels, which it did. So we definitely made our 1 for 2, getting in and pushing down to these levels here, the daily DSR zone. It has continued to push lower, so there is another technical setup occurring if you were to now look at this as being the large AO, but it just hasn't pulled back enough. We need to see that pull back, that minimum 38.2, which it hasn't done, but it was a very successful trade back here, which delivered our 1 for 2. We also had the Euro Aussie trade set up, and we're looking at this position here. So on a weekly chart, it looks like it's possibly going to pull back to this weekly 200 EMA line. We're starting to see that some support here was forming, and we're looking at this DSR zone right about here of getting out. Down on the 4-hour chart, we needed to see our AO divergence with our lower low end price and our higher AO. This is our signal to confirm that we can start looking for a position higher. We then wanted to see it push up, test, and come back. We look at our 1-hour chart. If we scroll back to roughly where we're looking at the entry back here, We can identify the first large AO is that one there. We then want to see it pull back to the minimum 38.2. It came back to the 50% mark, almost touched the 200 EMA line on the 1 hour chart, which is close enough for my liking. We then take an entry positions, put our stop losses somewhere down here, about 90 to 100 pips, and then we travel it up higher. And it went all the way up to 250, so you easily made your 1 for 2 risk to reward, even 1 to 1.5. How far did we expect it to go? Use your Fibonacci expansion tool this time from the start to the end of wave 3, the pullback of wave 4, and we want to look at getting out at the 61.8 or the Fib expansion 100. And as you can see, it's come up, it's tested the 100 pretty much on the dime and then just rolled back over. Where do I think it's going to go from here? Well, I think it's going to find some support at this 1 hour 200 EMA line, maybe push a bit back higher, but there's no more trades. It's another successful 1 for 2 trade delivered last week. We then had the Euro Yen trade, which was setting up. Now, I did mention that not to take all the Euro pairs just in case, because they will all work or they will all fail. In this case, they all worked, but you don't want to take them all just for the fact that they did all fail, then you're just higher leveraging yourself for no specific reason. So we'll just jump straight to what we're looking for. We wanted to see the divergence on the 4 hour chart. We see our lower low end price and we see our higher AO. So now that we had that, we wanted to jump down to the 1 hour chart. If I scroll back to roughly where we're looking at back here, we can see our 1 down for 2, up for 3, down for 4, up for 5. Now this pullback here just wasn't enough for me, and because it had already done its 5-wave move higher, I was looking at an entire move on the wave 4. So we're looking at this move here being 3, coming back for 4, going up 5. It then came back to the 1 hour 200 EMA line. We then looked for a buying opportunity, having stops around 100 pips, pushing up to the daily DSR. It's got 250. So there's your 1 for 2, almost 1 for 2.5 to this daily DSR zone. Where do we expect it to go? Again, using your Fibonacci expansion tool from the start of the wave 4 on the wave 3 on the 4 hour chart to the pullback. And we're looking to test the 100 EMA, Fib expansion 100, which also lined up with the daily DSR zone. As you can see, it's come up, it's touched it exactly in the dime again, and then rolled back over. It just goes to show how powerful the Fibonacci expansion tool is for predicting exits, and also looking for your horizontal resistance areas to match up with these. And where they converge is a good place of looking to get out. Even if you can't make your minimum 1 for 2, I always like to get for a better entry so that I can make my 1 for 2, because my risk to reward, winning more than I lose, is the name of the game. Unfortunately for me, I never took this position because I was already in 2 pairs. And when it did confirm and I did get out of my other pairs, I was waiting for the pullback, but it just missed by 15 pips. And so I missed this trade. Do I care? No, because it still met the criteria and it still delivered to where I wanted it to go. I just happened to not be in this trade, but it still meets the criteria and I'm glad it went there. And anybody who took this trade, good on you. The other trade we're looking at was the Euro USD. We just jumped straight down to the 4 hour chart. We needed to see our divergence with our lower price and our higher AO. So that was all delivered to us. We then jumped down to the 1 hour chart. We wanted to see the large AO pullback. So here we had our pullback of minimum 38.2. It's come back, it's touched the 200 EMA line. That's where I would have entered the market. I put my stops down at these levels here of about 50 pips, trying to make 100 up the top here before it got getting close to this DSR zone. However, unfortunately, I was just stopped out by about 7 pips, and then it delivered its 1 to 1.5. So for me, I missed out. This was a losing trade, but at the moment I had 3 winners for the month, all delivering 1 for 2. This one loser, so I still made 5 times my money. So I'm well ahead for this month. So I'm more than happy to be sitting out of the trade. And if I took this loss, it didn't worry me because it's one loss for 5 times winning. You just can't compare. What's coming up? Well, we've got a couple pound trades. We've got the pound Aussie, the pound CAD, and the pound yen. And what you'll be able to see on all of them is this horizontal channel forming. So as you can see, it's in this like this band, and if it breaks up or down, it's going to move really fast. So you can see this channel, it's just forming on all the pound pairs pretty much, and we're just waiting to see which way it's going to break. Personally, I can see some divergence here. So if this was 1 coming down for 2, we're probably going to look at a nice large move up to here. So if I can see this move up on a lower time frame and start to see some nice wave 3 forming up here with this large AO, then I'll wait for my pullback. I'll be looking for this 1 hour 200 EMA line to come up and join it, and then I'll be looking for a move higher. So I'm not trying to guess which way I think it's going to break out. I'm going to wait for the breakout, wait for the pullback, and then look at taking a trade higher. So that's the pound Aussie, pound CAD, and the pound yen, all setting up for a big move, just like the Euro USD did when it traveled sideways for a very long time and then broke out. So we need to wait for that move unless you want to just do a channel trade. But unfortunately, these channels are just too narrow for me to be able to make anything on it. So I need to wait for that breakout. So thanks for that. That was week 11 of the Forex market review. So just to recap, there was 3 successful Euro trades. Don't take all the same pairs that correlate, because if you do, they could all win or they could all lose. So just make sure you play the game. I personally don't like to take no more than 2, but I've been in for a long time and I trust my rules. So for anybody out there, I'd suggest maybe only taking 1 pair. Look for the one that gives you the best risk to reward and what can make your money before those resistance zones and the fib expansion levels. So even though I took a loss on the Euro USD and I missed the Euro Yen trade, I was able to make my 1 for 2 on Aussie USD, the US oil, and the Euro Aussie. So giving me 6 times win for 1 loss. That's 5 times up for the month, and it's a great month ahead. Here at Sane Investment Solutions, we wish you all the best in your success. Take care. Bye-bye.